game, including highlights from the biggest moments. Listen to Mike Shilt's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
We are live here at Petco Park on this Labor Day. Padres fall 4-3 in this series opener to the Baltimore Orioles. Padres dropped to 76-62 on the season. The Orioles improved to 62-76. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we begin our post-game coverage. Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. A lot to do. We'll recap this game from start to finish. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, our daily awards, and much, much more to come. But a tough stretch continues for the San Diego Padres, who have now lost 3 out of their last 4 games to teams well below 500. In the Minnesota Twins, losing 2 out of 3 against Minnesota over the course of Friday through Sunday, and now losing this series opener to an Oriole team that came in 15 games below 500. Padres have now lost 6 of 8. They are only 7-10 in their last 17 games, and it has been a frustrating little stretch, no doubt about it, for the Padres. And look, it was more of the same in this one today. The injuries continue to mount for this team. We'll talk about that in a second. But just in this game alone, a couple of issues in this game. Number one, we talked about it pregame. You really wanted Dylan Cease to go deep in this game, be effective in this game. He went 4 innings, 2 runs given up, and he just threw a ton of pitches in 4 innings. He threw 91 in only 4 innings, got through the 4th inning, then was replaced in the 5th inning by Adrian Morahone. And the bullpen did a good job keeping the game, nearly right where it was. I know Morahone gave up the home run. We'll get into what happened in the 7th inning because there was a lot there. But the bottom line, Padres only gave up 3 runs in this game, and Kyle Bradish, who is making his second start after coming off Tommy John surgery, he only went 4 innings in this game, and then the Padres just could not get a whole lot going against this Oriole bullpen. Dietrich Enns went 2 1/3 innings, gave up 1 unearned run. Then it was Rico Garcia, inning and 2/3 scoreless, a save in the 9th inning for Keegan Aiken to shut the door on an Oriole win 4-3 here today. And the Padres offense, again, much like yesterday in Minnesota, and at times on the road trip, just could not get a whole lot going. They did have 3 hits with runners in scoring position, but they left 7 on base, and ultimately the Orioles took the 4-3 lead in the top of the 7th inning. Padres couldn't respond. I mean, you really look at it from an offensive standpoint, aside from the bottom of the 2nd when Bryce Johnson, who was not originally in the lineup today, Fernando Tatis Jr., a late scratch. He had an RBI single. Luis Arraez had a good day, 3 hits and an RBI single. But aside from that, the Padres had an RBI single from Ramon Laureano after that run got on base on an error to begin the bottom half of the 5th inning. Laureano driving Fermin to tie the game at 3. But that was the only run scored for the Padres after that 2-run 2nd inning. And you would just love to think that you could do more offensively against an Oriole team that, again, came in 15 games below 500 and, doesn't have a great bullpen. But the Padres, again, only got that 1 run in the bottom half of the 5th inning, an unearned run. Then they did not score in the final 4 innings of this game. The other part of this game that was really, really, really unfortunate, Jason Adam going down with an injury in the top half of the 7th inning. It did not look good. It was non-contact. Adam, just maneuvering initially for a ball, a tapper off the bat of Gunnar Henderson over the mound, hit slowly. He went to maneuver back towards it after finishing his delivery and immediately went down, reached for what looked like his left knee, had to be assisted to a cart, was carted off the field, and quite frankly, it did not look good. We'll see what Mike Shildt says after the game. We'll see what the diagnosis is with Jason Adam, but it did not look good, and that would be an enormous, enormous loss for the Padres bullpen. Certainly, we wish the best for Jason Adam. You hope it's not as bad as it looked, but it was non-contact, and Jason immediately knew something was not right. So that was a real gut punch of this game. Seeing that injury, you never want to see that, and Jason Adam has been so good for this team since coming over in the trade last summer. Just terrible to see, and certainly you hope Jason Adam is okay as possible. Robert Suarez came in after that and then ends up giving the RBI single up to Beavers with 2 outs. That makes it a 4-3 game. And look, Robert gives up the go-ahead hit there, but the Padres offense has to be able to respond, right? I mean, 3 runs in this kind of game. You would like to think, like I said earlier, that if you only give up 4 runs in a game like this against the team, that came in 15 games under 500, that you could generate enough offense to make up for it. But the Padres unable to do that here today. And I'll finish up in the opening segment just with this. We talked about it yesterday after the Padres dropped that rubber game in Minnesota. We've done a lot of talking about the Padres schedule and how by record, by combined opponent winning percentage, it is not a tough schedule down the stretch here. But at the end of the day, this is about the San Diego Padres and how they play, and they still have to play well against these types of teams. And throughout the rest of this month of September, you still have to play well. You still have to pitch well, find ways to score runs, play good defense. We'll talk about a little bit of the defense from early in this game. Jose Iglesias not getting the speedy Beavers in the second inning. That, contributed to a couple of runs coming in early. We'll get to all of it. But you still got to play well. You got to play Padres baseball and the clean, crisp baseball that the Padres have played for most of this season. And I don't know that we've quite seen that the last few days. And obviously, it's a tough little stretch. They've lost 6 of 8. And now against 2 teams you were hoping they could certainly beat up a little bit. They've lost 3 out of 4 to the Twins and the Orioles and didn't get a ton of help on the out-of-town scoreboard today. Dodgers were off, but the Reds won. The Cubs won, the Mets won, so they did not get a ton of help on the out-of-town scoreboard either today. We'll step aside when we come back. Full game recap. We'll hear from Mike Shildt coming up a little bit later, hear the latest on Jason Adam, and much, much more to come. Final score again here at Petco Park today. The Orioles 4 and the Padres 3. Our post-game coverage continues after this.
Hey, guys, it's Woodsy. Celebrate 100 years.
of the tree.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios, inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue to wrap this one up. Final score, the Orioles 4 and the Padres 3 as the Padres drop this series opener to Baltimore. We'll go downstairs, hear from Mike Shildt coming up in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Our starting pitching matchup today, Dylan Cease for the Padres. Kyle Bradish making his second start off Tommy John surgery for the Orioles. Cease took the mound for the top of the second after a scoreless opening inning. He allowed a one-out single, then a walk. Orioles rookie Samuel Basallo was next.
Second and third, one out, no score, second inning. A 3-2 hit hard on one hop through the right side. Cronenworth dove, couldn't get there. Beavers has scored. Carlson's on his way. And Basallo sliding feet first into second with a two-run double. 2-0 Baltimore here in the second.
Padres answered against Bradish in the bottom half of the inning after he issued two walks to start the frame. Bryce Johnson, who only started the game after Fernando Tatis Jr. was scratched from today's lineup, dug in with two runners in scoring position.
Cronenworth at second, Sheets at third, one out. Trailing 2-0. Pitch to Johnson, lined up the middle into center field and a base hit. Sheets will score. Cronenworth going to be held as Carlson's throw comes in towards the infield, but Bryce Johnson with another hit and an RBI single to get the Pods on the board. It's 2-1.
There were two outs and runners still on first and third. Luis Arraez worked along at bat. Here's what happened on pitch number 9.
Johnson will run the 3-2, and Arraez knocks it into left field, down and a base hit. That'll tie the game. Cronenworth comes in to score, and it's 2-2 here in the second on Luis Arraez' second hit of the day.
The game stayed tied at 2 for a bit. Cease got in major trouble a couple of times. He dealt with runners on first and third, nobody out in the top of the third. He got out of it. He gave up a one-out double in the fourth inning. He got out of it. Cease threw 91 pitches in just 4 innings. Adrian Morejon replaced him in the top half of the fifth inning. Still a 2-2 game. The second batter Morejon faced was Orioles rookie Jeremiah Jackson.
Jackson swings at the first pitch from Morejon, sends it in the air to deep center field. Johnson is back at the wall, and it's going to go. Long home run to center field for Jeremiah Jackson. Got it up onto the platform in front of the batter's eye, and the Orioles go ahead. It's 3-2.
Just the second home run that Morejon allowed this season. We'll talk more about that coming up later. But once again, the Padres answered in the bottom half as lefty Dietrich Enns came on for the O's in the bottom of the fifth inning. Freddie Fermin started with a bunt against him. Enns threw it wide to first base, a throwing error. Luis Arraez put down a sac bunt to move Fermin to second. After a 2-out walk to Ryan O'Hearn, there were 2 on with 2 men away for Ramon Laureano.
O'Hearn at first will be on the move. Fermin is at third. The 3-2 hit on the ground through the left side and a base hit. Laureano gets the O's as Fermin comes in to tie the game. It's 3-3.
Morejon and Jason Adam combined for a scoreless top of the sixth inning. The lefty Enns pitched a 1-2-3 bottom half. Adam returned to the mound for the top of the seventh inning. He allowed a one-out single to Jeremiah Jackson. Then something really unfortunate happened. Gunnar Henderson hit a comebacker towards the mound. Adam quickly started to maneuver towards the ball after the finish of his delivery, but right when he did that, he immediately collapsed to the ground in pain, called for the athletic training staff, reached for what looked like his left knee. Adam needed assistance onto a cart. He was carted off the field. Quite frankly, it did not look good. It was a non-contact injury, and our best wishes to Jason Adam. We'll see if we have any kind of update from Mike Shildt on Adam when we hear from Mike. The Padres brought Robert Suarez in. He was given all the time he needed to warm up. Suarez struck out pinch hitter Colton Cowser, but there were still 2 on base for Orioles rookie Dylan Beavers.
2-2. The pitch to Beavers is lined over the head of Cronenworth into right field. Jackson is being waved. Here comes the throw from Laureano, and it is not in time. Just kind of bounced and rolled into Fermin. They had a shot, but the Orioles go back ahead. It's 4-3.
A 4-3 Oriole lead heading to the bottom half of the seventh inning. Suarez did a good job keeping it just a one-run game. You would finish that seventh inning, pitch a scoreless top of the eighth inning. Problem was Padres didn't get a run in the bottom half of the seventh inning. They didn't score in the bottom half of the eighth inning. So we went to the bottom half of the ninth inning. Padres still down 4-3. Left-hander Keegan Aiken came on for the Orioles. Jose Iglesias flew out for out number one. Bryce Johnson then singled to put the tying run on base. Will Wagner pinch hit. He grounded into a force out for out number two. Then Jackson Merrill came off the bench. He pinch ran for Will Wagner at first base. So Merrill on first base representing the tying run in a 4-3 game. The game left up to Luis Arraez. And Luis Arraez would strike out for the final out of the game against the left-hander Keegan Aiken. And that was that here tonight. Final score in this one. The Padres fall 4-3 to the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles 4 runs, 11 hits, 1 error, and the Padres 3 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. Again, the Orioles improved to 62 and 76. The Padres dropped to 76 and 62. And a couple of notes for you from this game. Number one, congratulations to Luis Arraez, who did pick up his 1,000th career hit in today's game. That was the third hit he had of the day. So that was very nice to see for Luis. So congratulations to him. No small feat, reaching 1,000 career hits for the three-time batting champion. Jackson Merrill was activated off the IL earlier today as rosters expanded to 28 players. Now, the interesting thing, Merrill, you thought maybe he would be available to pinch hit potentially in that ninth inning. He did not pinch hit, but he did come in to pinch run for Wagner, representing the tying run in that ninth inning. And Fernando Tatis Jr. was a late scratch from today's game. Again, I'm sure we'll hear more about that from Mike Shildt in just a little bit. But Fernando scratched from the game. After yesterday's game, he had said he dealt with a little tightness in his right leg. Yesterday we talked about it post game. He had kind of reached back for that right leg hamstring area coming in on a ball in Minnesota yesterday. You hoped it was nothing. He was in the lineup originally today, but then a late scratch. Bryce Johnson replaced him in the lineup, played center. They moved Laureano over to right field. So look, another negative right now for the Padres is these injuries are really starting to mount. Obviously, Xander Bogaerts on the IL, Merrill off the IL today, but was not in the lineup and then did not pinch hit. So we'll see what the status is for him tomorrow. Jason Adam going down with something today. Did not look good. You hope he's okay as possible. Fernando Tatis Jr. scratched from the lineup. Michael King still working his way back from that left knee inflammation, and we'll see what the update is on him, either in the postgame here with Mike Shildt or into tomorrow as the Padres continue this series against the Orioles. When we come back, we hear from Mike Shildt. Again, the final score, Orioles 4 and the Padres 3. This is the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here tonight. The Padres fall 4-3 to the Baltimore Orioles. Hey, player, the all-new Jamul Casino Resort is now open with a Lux Hotel Tower, rooftop pool, spa, and a long list of amazing amenities. You'll have more ways to play and enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place. Obviously, another tough one for the Padres in this series opener here tonight. I said these numbers earlier. They don't give me any great pleasure, but I will share them with you again. Padres have now lost 3 out of 4 to the Twins and the Orioles, teams that are well under 500. They've lost 6 of 8. They're now 7-10 in their last 17 games. So this is no doubt a rough little stretch for the Padres right now, and especially the last 4 games against teams that are well under 500. And we've done a lot of talking about the lack of strength of schedule that the Padres have remaining. It's by opponent winning percentage combined, the easiest schedule, quote unquote, in the majors. And look, that part of it's not off to a great start. 1-3 since Friday against the Twins and the Orioles. And again, we said it in the opening segment, said it yesterday as well. Padres have to play good baseball still, and winning baseball and their brand of baseball, quite frankly. And I don't know that that's quite happened over the course of the last handful of days, but the good news, an opportunity to bounce back tomorrow and plenty of time to bounce back here in the month of September. All right, let's go downstairs here from Mike Shildt. Again, we're probably going to get an update here on Jason Adam after what looked like a bad injury in the 7th inning, non-contact. Adam collapsing to the ground after making a sudden movement to try to get a comebacker that was slowly hit behind him. Pretty scary moment. Not great to see it all, obviously, for Jason Adam, who has done such a good job, so important to this Padres bullpen. And obviously, perhaps an update here on Fernando Tatis Jr., who was a late scratch from today's lineup as well. Let's go downstairs and hear from Mike.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Mike, what's the latest on Jason?
Prognosis early is not favorable. I mean, things can change, but it's a quad tendon rupture. That's pretty clear and pretty serious. So, I mean, they'll do further testing, and I don't want to be too bleak, but it's not overly positive.
Been such a big part of what you guys have done. I know how deep you are, but if you could speak to the hit that this could potentially be.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, since he came last year, has been a big part of our success, not only on the field, which is pretty clear, including this year. This guy's an absolute workhorse. And just has gotten, huge out for us. But he's also a real pillar of our clubhouse. I mean, this is we got a great clubhouse. We got great dudes, and we really do. I love them to death. And Jason's as solid a guy as you're going to meet, and as well respected a guy as that is in our clubhouse, which is saying something. So he means a lot to us, and we'll be praying with him and for him, but we're gonna be missing him. But we'll have to figure it out.
And you've spoken a lot about how you need to maybe get a little more out of your starters at this point. Like, how much of a concern is this, in particular with Dylan, giving up runs and throwing a lot of pitches and not being able to get as deep as you'd like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not. It's clearly a concern. We have a deep bullpen. It's a talented bullpen, but the way the game's built. And I know it's morphing into, shortening the game, but over 162 games, starters are going to have to carry a lion's share of, the innings. And we just haven't been able to get that consistently, which is affecting. And we had a bullpen game yesterday. We got 8 innings out of our starters last series, 12 the series before that. But we are capable, and we do, and it's not from my seat, it's not a lack of confidence in Dylan, or we do know we have some guys that we're going to have to continue to bring along, with Darvish, but he's looking better, and he's going to have to get going and continue to get going. And Cortez in a similar bucket, and then of course Nick's been solid, and Michael is around the corner, but I don't know what the depth of Michael looks like and what he's going to be able to give us or win. But like I said, we'll figure it out. I'm confident of that.
What was Jackson's availability? Because obviously he pinch ran with the ankle. Why not have him hit there? You went, I'm assuming Aikens splits is why you went with the left.
Aikens, Reversey, and
Yep.
Wagner's just taking, really professional with bats, and Jackson was available.
Is there anything like the fact that Jackson hasn't been in a game in a while to put him in that situation?
That's my point. Yeah. He has not taken it at bat, and Wagner's taking great at bats. And talking with the guys, we felt like Wagner was Aikens a reverse guy, so took our shot with Wagner, and Jackson will be in there tomorrow.
Tatis scratched right before the game. What is the latest on that?
I haven't talked to him after the game, but this has been a grindy stretch. And again, no one's going to make excuses for us, but travel across the country and play a day game is it can be a challenge. And just showed up. He's been playing his tail off. He's been grinding, and he's been competing like the rest of the boys. And it's kind of that time of year a little bit, and just some lower half soreness that we thought we'd be responsible and get ahead of today, and so gave him the day off, and we'll evaluate moving forward.
So out of consideration for a ninth inning at bat there too. It's just not on the table.
He was off today.
When you say lower half soreness, he was seen on the broadcast like kind of grabbing at his right hamstring yesterday. Is that part of it?
It's part of it, Dennis. Again, it's lower half soreness. He's tight. He can explain it better than I can, but that's ultimately what the decision's been, from my understanding.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after today's 4-3 loss to the Orioles here at Petco Park. Sam Levitt back with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building as our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues. Let's chew on a couple of things that Mike Shildt discussed there. It is not very good news at all for Jason Adam, who, according to Mike, the early diagnosis is a quad tendon rupture. I'm not going to sit here and play doctor, but from a quick little Googling, it's not good. And based on what we saw, look, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but based on the way that injury looked and hearing that, it would seem pretty likely that Jason Adams' season is over, which I don't know is all that surprising based on how that looked and how serious it appeared and the type of pain he appeared to be in, and just kind of how that transpired in the seventh inning. A quad tendon rupture. Again, I'm not going to pretend to play doctor and know, that's from what I can tell, just in a brief search, that's surgery, and that's quite a lengthy recovery process. So it's bad news, and it's really bad news for the Padres bullpen, because Jason Adam has been terrific for this team going back to when they traded for him from Tampa Bay at the deadline last year. He has been nothing short of absolutely terrific for this bullpen, and he's a huge, huge part of the bullpen, and quite frankly, part of the strategy the Padres, are looking to use to win, where they rely on this bullpen a lot, and certainly, it's a strength of this team. I'll also say this about Jason Adam. This is a guy, and if you've heard my interviews with him going back to spring training over the course of the last year or so, this is a guy who dealt with a ton of injuries in the early part of his career, a ton of injuries, and they were all over. They were arm injuries. He suffered a really freak, I want to make sure I get the term right, open dislocation and fracture of his left ankle in 2021. It was a freak injury when he was running down a fly ball during batting practice at AAA Iowa, and missed a lot of time from that. So this is not the first freak injury that Adam has suffered, and I'd call that today freak, just because it was nothing crazy he was doing. He just started, slightly adjusting to move his body to maybe try to go get the comebacker to his right side after he finished his delivery. So you just feel for Jason Adam. You really do. Again, this is a guy who dealt with major injuries throughout his career, worked really hard to get to this spot where he's turned himself into one of the best relievers in the game. And for him to suffer an injury like this, man, you feel for him. So my best to Jason Adam. Best wishes to him. Hopefully it's as good of a situation as possible after what happened today. But man, you really feel for Jason Adam. Again, the context of the injuries he had early in his career, what it took for him to get to this point, and really, really unfortunate. And he's been a real good guy inside that clubhouse and to the media and to myself when we've asked things from him. So my best to Jason Adam. It's really, really unfortunate that happened tonight here at Petco Park. To Fernando Tatis Jr., we'll see what the diagnosis is for him moving into tomorrow. We told you yesterday about him reaching back for his back of his leg, coming in for that ball yesterday. He was in the lineup today, then the scratch again. Hopefully it's nothing overly serious for Fernando. Hopefully it's just quote unquote tightness, like they keep alluding to. I'm sure we'll find out more after the game here in the next hour or so on what exactly is going on with Fernando. The situation with Jackson is interesting, right? Look, just to pull up the splits for Aiken because they were mentioned. He is a reverse guy in the sense that he's a lefty and lefties hit him better at 282. Now Wagner's a lefty hitter. Jackson Merrill's also a lefty hitter. So, I don't know. I would think maybe there's a possibility you want Jackson up there. I don't know, how much the fact that he hasn't seen Major League Live pitching in a bit played into it. He was good enough to run today, but apparently they wanted Wagner in that spot over Merrill. Okay. Wagner hit into a fielder's choice, and ultimately the Padres unable to scratch across that tying run. So that's the way it went here tonight. I don't think there's any way around it. There's not a ton of good to pull from tonight. We'll talk about Dylan Cease, kind of what he did after the break as the Padres fall 4-3 to the Orioles on this Labor Day, on this Monday, dropping the series opener. And we'll continue to break this one down when we come back on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey there, sports fans. It's Tony Gwynn Jr. Get your outdoor space postseason ready with TimberTech.
Rise his 1,000th career hit with the one-out single in the top of the 7th inning. So big congratulations to Luis Rise on what was a historic night for him. Hey, one good thing from this game was Luis Rise having a really nice day. 3 hits, all singles out of the leadoff spot. That was after Fernando Tatis Jr. was scratched from the lineup today. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come for Luis. 3 hits today, the final of which, again, was his 1,000th career hit. So a nice accomplishment personally for Luis Rise, and congratulations to Luis. Let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, presented by David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys. When your freedom and future are on the line, you need the best arm in the pen. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com.
Our relief pitcher of the game here today. On the Padres side of things, Morahone gave up the home run. Adam, talk about a tough loss for Jason Adam. He got the loss in this game. Robert Suarez gave up the go-ahead hit. I know Hart came in, did a good job, to his credit, in the 9th inning, keeping it a 1-run game. Though I think tonight, we got to go on the Orioles side of things, because you look at the work of Rico Garcia in the 7th and the 8th. Garcia had to deal with Manny, O'Hearn, Laureano, Sheets, and Cronenworth, and went 5 up, 5 down in a 1-run game with his team ahead 4-3. I mean, that's really good work, and gave up some hard contact to Manny, but a nice play by Beavers in left field, making a play and going and getting it. But he was really good, this Rico Garcia right-hander, 5 up, 5 down, and again got through Machado, O'Hearn, Laureano, Sheets, Cronenworth in order between the 7th and the 8th in a 1-run game. So he was really, really good, and we'll give it to Rico Garcia of the Orioles, our relief pitcher of the game. Big timeouts in a 1-run game here tonight. Let's hear tonight's catch of the game.
Which defensive play had the biggest impact on today's game?
He is at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch.
This is the catch of the game.
Gonna hang a star for Jackson Merrill.
Reeled in by Anthony's Fish Grotto La Mesa, celebrating 80 years of seafood excellence.
One-0 pitch, hit hard on the ground at third, backhanded by Manny. He's got it, gets up, throws to first in time. That'll end the inning. And Machado with a fine defensive play to get the third out here in the top of the 7th.
Nice play by Manny Machado in the top of the 7th inning. Good throw across the diamond. Helped keep it a 1-run game. Keep the Padres down by 1 in that tough 7th inning. At that spot, runners on first and third. If Manny doesn't make that play, it's another run for the Orioles. So, yes, it came when the Padres were already trailing. But I thought a very, very important play in the grand picture of this game by Manny. Nice pick at third base. Good, strong throw. Kept it a 1-run game. And that is today's catch of the game. Let's talk about the Padres' heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the Heart of the Order, presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Part of the order today, after Fernando Tatis Jr. was scratched from the lineup, they had to shuffle things around. So the 3, 4, 5 spots were O'Hearn, Laureano, and Sheets. So O'Hearn went 1 for 3 with a walk. He singled today. Laureano RBI singled to tie the game at 3 in the 5th inning. Laureano 1 for 4. Gavin Sheets 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. So combined, O'Hearn, Laureano, and Sheets went 2 for 10 with an RBI and a run scored and a walk. So somewhat productive at times. Dave, for the heart of the order, O'Hearn, Laureano, and Sheets. Laureano had a big hit, certainly against his former team. O'Hearn playing against the Orioles for the first time as well. It was Laureano, the RBI single, to make it 3-3, but the Padres fall 4-3. Before we go to break here, and we'll talk about Dylan Cease on the other side of our break, and if you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. It was unfortunately another tough night for Manny Machado, who went 0 for 4 in this game. He struck out once, and, look, it's going to be very, very important for the Padres to get Manny going here. He is obviously so incredibly important to this team's success. He had a tough month of August. We talked about it plenty in the pregame. And 0 for 4 tonight here on the first day of September. Only 8 RBIs and 1 home run since the start of August. So hopefully tomorrow a better day for Manny Machado. Padres could sure use him, especially with some of these injuries that continue to mount. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Dylan Cease. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard and wrap things up, get you ready for the middle game of this series tomorrow here at Petco Park. Padres fall 4-3 to the Orioles on this Labor Day. As the Padres drop this series opener, our post-game coverage continues after these words. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Hey, player, the all-new Jamul Casino Resort is all for you with a luxe hotel, a relaxing spa, a rooftop pool. This is the place to enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. The all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place, now open. We'll take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard in a moment here, and we'll continue to wrap this one up as the Padres fall 4-3 to the Orioles in this series opener. I do want to talk a little bit here about Dylan Cease because obviously it was another tough outing for Dylan. Now, look, he did a couple of good things in the sense of gave up 2 runs in the second, dealt with runners on first and third, nobody out in the third inning, got out of it. A runner on second base, 1 out in the fourth inning, got out of it. So he did a good job in that sense, making sure that that number one, the deficit remained 2-0 in the second, and that the game was tied at 2 when he left the game. That was before Morahone gave up the solo home run to Jackson in the top of the 5th inning to make it 3-2. But look, the up and down year for Dylan Cease continues. I mean, you look at what he's done now. In his last 4 starts, it's 3 innings and a third, 5 runs given up, 5 innings, 4 runs given up, 4 and a third innings, 4 runs given up, 4 innings, 2 runs given up. You know, today he threw 91 pitches in 4 innings, and we talked about it in the pregame. It was my first key to the game today, and that was getting length out of Dylan Cease, not just effectiveness, but length out of him. Because, look, this has been an issue for the Padres on this past road trip. The longest start they got in those 6 games, now their last 7 games, including tonight, is 5 innings from Nick Pivetta on Saturday. The Padres, and now Sunday was a different story. It was a bullpen game, which made it even more imperative today that Dylan Cease provide some length. But since Monday in Seattle, a span now of 7 games, and the Padres have had a starting pitcher go 5 innings just one time, and it's just a hard way to live. It's putting a ton of innings on their bullpen right now, whether it's low leverage guys, high leverage guys. I mean, think about this. One really unfortunate part about today's game is the Padres really had to use their high leverage guys. I mean, multiple guys doing up downs, including Morajón and Adam and Suarez. I mean, this was not an easy workload day for anybody. Morajón threw 21 pitches, Suarez threw 24. So it's just asking the bullpen to do so much. And so the Padres desperately need more length out of their starters. It's been a real issue going back for a week. And look, again, for Dylan Cease, did he give up 7 runs in 4 innings? No, he gave up 2, but 91 pitches. That is a lot. That's a lot of pitches in 4 innings, and he could not give them length today, even though he did a good job battling out of that trouble in the 3rd and the 4th. So look, I suppose you continue to hope that Dylan can get on a roll here, hopefully heading into October and find that dominant version of himself. And, we've been waiting for that really all year for him to really get on that roll that we saw him get on. Certainly at times during last season, it just has not happened. And it was another kind of tough one today for Dylan Cease, certainly by just the number of pitches thrown in the 4 innings, with 91 thrown in 4 innings. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Labor Day. Give me a moment here as the internet doesn't want to cooperate. Need internet for the out-of-town scoreboard in 2025. Okay, here we go. Mariners beat the Rays 10-2 in Tampa Bay today. The Giants beat the Rockies 8-2 in Colorado. Willie Adames, Rafael Devers hit home runs in that game for San Francisco. Phillies came back to beat the Brewers 10-8 in Milwaukee. The Phillies scoring 2 runs in the top half of the 9th inning to break an 8-8 tie, and the Phillies hang on for a 10-8 win. Cubs beat the Braves 7-6 in San Carson. Kelly hit a 2-run home run in the 8th inning to tie the game. Then he had a walk-off single in the 10th inning to win it, as the Cubs win it 7-6 in 10 at Wrigley. A's beat the Cardinals 11-3. White Sox over the Twins 6-5. Astros beat the Angels 8-3 in Houston. Red Sox beat the Guardians 6-4 at Fenway. The Reds beat the Blue Jays on a walk-off single in the 9th inning for Noelvi Marte 5-4 in Cincinnati today. Mets beat the Tigers 10-8 in Detroit. Juan Soto, a grand slam and a triple in that game. Nationals beat the Marlins 2-0 in D.C., and we've got one game going on right now. D-backs ahead of the Rangers 5-4 in Arizona in the 9th inning. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday, Labor Day 2025. Final score here tonight, the Orioles 4, the Padres 3. Let's hear our play of the game.
The line between winning and losing can be razor thin. Which play was the difference between victory and defeat? This is today's play of the game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
2-2. The pitch to Beavers is lined over the head of Cronenworth into right field. Jackson is being waved. Here comes the throw from Laureano, and it is not in time. Just kind of bounced and rolled into Fermin. They had a shot, but the Orioles go back ahead. It's 4-3.
The go-ahead RBI single by Dylan Beavers in the 7th inning against Robert Suarez. Unfortunately, that is our play of the game tonight. Kind of had to be that way, as that was the go-ahead hit, gave the Orioles a 4-3 lead, and they go on to win by that final score. It was the rookies doing the work tonight for the Orioles. It was kind of unbelievable. They had Samuel Basayo, a 2-run double in the 2nd. Then they had the home run by Jackson in the 5th inning, and the go-ahead RBI single by Beavers in the 7th inning. All those guys are rookies, so all the runs produced tonight for the O's came from 3 of their rookies in Jackson, Basayo, and Beavers. And by the way, I said I was going to get to this a little bit earlier. Beavers had another really big play in this game. Routine ground ball to shortstop, and Beavers can fly, and Jose Iglesias did not throw him out at first base. Beavers beat it out, straight beat it out. I don't know that Iglesias did anything wrong necessarily. Could he have hurried up a little bit? Maybe not great recognition of how speedy Beavers is. Maybe. I say maybe because he didn't waste a ton of time, but Beavers beat it out. And that ended up being a huge play because then a walk to Carlson, and then moments later, Samuel Basayo, 2-run double to 2-0 Oriole lead. So Beavers had a big day, a real big impact on this game with his speed, and then with a big go-ahead RBI single in the 7th inning. Before we look ahead to tomorrow, I do want to read a post here on X from Bernie Wilson of the Associated Press. I would assume Bernie in the clubhouse after tonight's game. Bernie writing here, Jason Adam was on crutches and his left leg in a large brace post-game. Says quad tendon rupture is 6 to 9 months recovery time. As I alluded to earlier, just looking at some basic info after Mike Shildt announced what it was. The prognosis was not very good. A quote here from Bernie. This is from Jason Adam. Quote, I told AJ, I'm really glad you went out and got Mason. This bullpen's so deep of all the bullpens in the league to not need me. It's this one, end quote. Look, that's the kind of teammate Jason Adam is. Very, very professional. And I'm not surprised to hear that kind of quote from Jason. Look, I suppose, one way to look at this injury to Jason Adam, and it's a terrible one. It's a terrible loss for this team. I guess one way to look at it, just to kind of sum things up before we head out of here tonight, is to think about it as, look, yes, it's a huge loss for your bullpen, but if there is a bullpen that's equipped to handle this kind of loss, it would be the Padres, because they've got other high leverage guys that they can absolutely count on. It's back to now, a big 4. I don't know if you can go back to the 4 horsemen. I don't think you can call them that. That included Jason Adam. But Estrada, Morahone, Miller, and Suarez. I mean, it's a big 4 in your bullpen. You can throw David Morgan, who mostly has been terrific this season, into that mix as well. They are built to withstand something like this, but make no mistake, it's a big loss. I mean, Jason Adam has just been terrific for the Padres ever since they traded for him. But if there is a bullpen to withstand it, I suppose this would be the one. So hopefully we're talking something like that when it's all said and done and reflecting on how the rest of this season goes. But obviously a big loss in Jason Adam going down, and our best wishes to Jason as he now starts to work his way back from obviously a pretty terrible injury with the quad tendon rupture suffered in the 7th inning of today's game. Looking ahead to tomorrow, middle game of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Orioles. First pitch tomorrow, back to 6:40 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 5:40. Starting pitching matchup tomorrow, Yu Darvish, right-hander on the mound for the Padres. Right-hander Tyler Wells on the mound for Baltimore. Wells will be making his return from Tommy John. So Bradish made his second start back from Tommy John. This will be the return to the mound in the major leagues for Tyler Wells, right-hander for the Orioles tomorrow. And again, first pitch at 6:40. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also go back and watch any portion of our post-game coverage on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube page in video form. Taking a look at the final totals here tonight in this series opener. For the Orioles, 4 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. They left on 8. For the Padres, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They left on 7. Winning pitcher tonight, Dietrich Enns, who improves to 2-2. The losing pitcher tonight, unfortunately, Jason Adam, who drops to 8-4. And the save goes to Keegan Aiken, who picks up his 4th save of 2025. Time of game, 3 hours and 6 minutes. And the crowd here at Petco Park on Labor Day, the 59th sellout of the season, 45,586. Once again, first pitch tomorrow at 6:40. Pregame coverage from the Western Metal Building begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Jeff Hamby, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from Petco Park. Again, the final here tonight, the Baltimore Orioles 4 and the San Diego Padres 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.